Right, we're going to get in the weeds again here now with test equipment, right? You don't need to go out and buy loads of test equipment. A lot of instruments will let you measure their milliamps, and you can measure lots of things with just a normal multimeter. Don't go spending thousands of pounds. However, the more advanced you get, you are going to need specialist test kit to do this. So 9 times out of 10, yeah, your multimeter is going to do you. But unfortunately, there are instances where you're going to need other meters. I'm just going to go over a few of those now. If this is on YouTube or if this is on Instagram later, I'm now going to cut to some other instruments during this thing, so the background changed, but I'm just going to show you some things in here. First of all, I'm going to show you this one. This is a Time Electronics, got my real name on it, a Time Electronics 1044 voltage and current calibrator. This will do 2 things. This will measure 4 to 20 milliamps. So if you put a signal in it, it'll measure it. It'll also source it. So it'll make 4 to 20 milliamps. So if you've got something that accepts 4 to 20 milliamps, this can pretend to be this sensor. So for example, if depending on the height of this sensor, a motor ran faster or slower, and you didn't have a sensor, you could use this to inject the 4. So this will make 0 to 20 milliamps by turning this pot and pump it into something. That is where it gets expensive. It's always been an expensive thing to do, although there are cheaper ways of doing it now, which I'm probably going to show in this video somewhere. But let me just tell you a story. When I was starting off 20 years, this is about 20 years old, I think. When I was starting off 20 years ago, doing controls and automation work for a company I wanted to go on my own, I knew I'd need one of these. But these were fucking expensive. Like this look, just like, this is what instruments used to look like, made by men in sheds, basically, in plastic boxes, crazy companies like Time, who may or may not still be in business. Believe it or not, 20 years ago, this was the Gucci one, but they had a lower version of this, and someone I know had a lower version of this, and they blew it up. They put it onto source, as in put the instrument measurement out, and they accidentally put some stupid voltage into there, I think it might be 48 volts, and they blew it up. And they went, oh, do you want this? It's fucked. So what I did was, I took it apart, yeah, and I went inside it, and with a limited electronics I thought, well, it's probably blown up one of the chips. Probably blown up one of the chips. So I went through it a bit at a time and tested all the components, and I found a broken diode, which I fixed, it didn't work. So then I socketed the chips, as in put little sockets in, and I bought the replacement chips, which was only about 20 quid, and it started working. The problem was, because I'd socketed all the chips, it wouldn't fit in the case. I used to have to have a right boss job. Then I bought this one off someone. But these are still quite an expensive thing to do. I'm going to cut now on YouTube, or later on Instagram, to a couple of bits and bobs I've got in the office, to show you those ways of doing this. These are the other 2 process devices I have for measuring 4 to 20 milliamps, right? And one of them is this one. It's a Fluke 789. I'm going to show you that shortly. The problem with the Fluke 789 is it doesn't do 1 to 10 volt. Yeah, I've got another, I've got to get another test right now that does that. It doesn't do 1 to 10 volt, but you don't come across 1 to 10 volt much anymore because it's out the fucking arc. Although HVAC people still use it, and lighting controls still use it because it's cheap as chips. I've got this little device here. This is just a little device. Takes 24 volts in, or it takes like 10 volts in to 24 volts, I think. It's got a pot on it, you can turn. See, that's moving, look. That's moving in proportion with this. And this is just creating 4 to 20 milliamps. And this was about £5 off eBay. Let me just show you, look, if I hold that there, let me start a new video. Don't get me wrong, this is junk, but it proves how cheap the circuit can be. Because if you look on there now, look, and I talk like this so you can see it because the lights are there. 0.39 milliohms, it says 0.36. I'll crack it up, look, and take it to 10. Or what he thinks is 10. 9, let's go 9, because we're there. There you go. 8.947. It's not that far out, is it? For like a £10 piece of shit. Take it to about 15. Yeah, 15. It's about bang on. And final up to 20. It's fucking bang on, innit? For a tenner. I'll try and put the link up here to these on eBay. Let me just disconnect and I'll show you a few bits. Well, not going to disconnect, I'm going to use it, but the cheapest chips. But how do you actually use it, and how does it work? Should you go on Amazon or eBay and find one of these? I'll show you close to it so you can try and find one. I don't think it's got the worst solder in the world. It all needs reflowing. But it does fucking function perfectly fine, look. Let's put this back in here. As you saw, it works, look. So If you want to play around with 420 milliamps and you've got a 24 volt power supply and you get one of these, do you want to go and buy one of these? Absolutely. Like, it's the cheapest way you're going to get to play 420 milliamp. This has got the same electronics in as the time electronics one I showed earlier today. However, you could put a 9 volt battery in there as well. You could put a 9 volt battery in there, and then you've got 420. So, yeah, it works great. If you were just injecting 420 milliamps into something, this is going to be absolutely fucking marvellous. I can't fault it for playing around with for the money it costs. So if you're an apprentice, new to all this kind of stuff, go and buy one of these and have a play with it. It's the only way you're going to get to do it. However, does it replace one of these? Well, obviously, does it fuck? Yeah, although, with a 9 volt battery chucked in there, and 420 milliamps coming out there, are you going to go far wrong? It's probably a decent way, to be honest, just checking your testers. Alright, because this one here is what we're going to go to next, but this is not a calibrator, this is a multimeter, a process multimeter, so it's not a calibrator, whereas this is sort of a calibrator's job. But badly, I mean, look at that. Jesus Christ. Anyway, we'll foot us off now, but they are interesting, worth playing with, and I don't regret buying this one. I'll try and put the link up to eBay if I can find it. If you watch on video on Instagram, though, you're back. And yeah, so there's that. That'll make current and create current. It's also called a calibrator because it does the send and receiving, yeah? That's a Chevron one that they've kind of lent. This is going to get used on this one. It's an L485. It's a data logger. This is a 420 minute data logger. This will take the 420 minute signal and record it against time. We're going to be using that later. But what I have got off the lovely people at Chevron is they lent me this ages ago, which I'm finally getting around to using there. This is a CA1631. This is basically a much more rugged, I would say, and probably better, and definitely better, version of this. This one can read 420 and create 420. First time I've used this properly in anger, even though they lent it me ages ago, I've been using my Fluke because I've been wanting... This is not a meter for reading, this is for calibration. I've had a Fluke 789 for yonks, yeah, I'm not going to lie about it. I've had a Fluke 789 but these set are far superior to that. This is the standard for process control engineers in the games I work in the power industry, generation industry, manufacturing industry, all that. This is it. Now, this is just, it's called a 789 process meter. That's on the milliamp setting, but if you just turn it off, turn it on, tells you it's 789. It's got volts, yeah? It's a basic volt multimeter in AC, DC, millivolts, ohms, beep, diode test, measurement of milliamps, and then that's where it stops being a multimeter. It's got a very basic multimeter in there. I think the multimeter that's in it is basically a Fluke 115, a very low-level multimeter, or 116, an extremely low-level multimeter. So in its heart, it really is this bit. And this does the milliamp output. It'll create the milliamps and send them out. It will source it. I can never remember what fucking way around these go. It'll have a milliamp output. It can do steps. I can never remember how these fucking things work. I was had to fuck around with it. Here, look, you've got output, source and simulate. You've got your loop power, as in you can power the 2-wire instrument and measure the milliamps. Then you've got the milliamp output, stepped. That one's the step one, and that was the output. So on the output one, if you go to that, I think there's an instrument on it. Now you can select it. There's no loop. It won't work because there's no loop. I want to make a loop. Hang on. I have to get one of these instruments and create a loop, otherwise it won't work. And I think that's where it powers the loop. Angry 2-wire instruments, yeah. So basically, the general crack is, I could do an whole video on it because it's quite complicated, but cheap-ass multimeter with all your milliamp stuff, and you have to move these around in basically ways that only NAS can work out to make it all work. But that is the standard for process multimeters. I've just decided what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do a video on it now because I'm not set up to do it. But I've explained to you, it's a normal multimeter with all the milliamp stuff on. That's all you're getting, yeah. I could do a whole video on it, so why cram it into this one? But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to now show you another process meter which completes the set and does something very, very clever. So let me just set it back up here. I'll not use those instruments, but I will demonstrate this part of the multimeter in a totally separate video at some point in the future. All right, then, we talked about the 789, and I think there's a 788 as well. Just, if you want to know, check, there's a 788. Watch out, the 788. It doesn't do something. I'm sure it's a 788. It'll be here and there on YouTube, but the one down doesn't do something, so don't accidentally buy 788 because it's fucking useless, I think. I've got this one. This is the 773 milliamp process clamp meter. This is capable of, I'm sure it's what's capable of doing it, yeah. This one can do milliamps and volts. So it does your 0 to 20 milliamp, 4 to 20 milliamp, and it does milliamps, volts. That's it. It's this one. The 772, I think, doesn't do the DC volts. So if I want to do 1 to 10 volts, I use this. This will create 1 to 10 volts. Blah, 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 blah. It does measurement, source, and simulate 0, 25, 2500, step in and all that kind of stuff, yeah? This one, however, has got a little trick up its sleeve, which I want to show you. And it's this bit here. Again, I could do a whole video on this, and it's featured, so you can just go and read the manual. But I might do that one day. I might do my entire test bag, but I just want to show you something this one does. So what we're going to do is pretend this is the PLC. So let's pretend that's the PLC, and that's the instrument. And the instrument is actually kicking out... Fucking lights. Screen, recording screen's like me. Look, that instrument's kicking out 16.5 milliamps. So that instrument's kicking that out, and the PLC is reading 16.5 milliamps. However, the PLC hasn't got a screen, or it's got a SCADA or something, yeah? So I don't actually know what's going on at terminals, and the instrument's not... I don't know what to rely on. The question is... If I find this cable in the panel, how can I find out if there's 16 milliamps in there? Well, what you do is, first of all, you turn this on, and while it's starting up, you start a new video. So then, you take your clamp out. This is just a little CT, a very accurate CT, and you go to measure, which it's on. Just goes to measure, source, simulate. We'll go to measure, and we go to... Just snapped. Fuck's just snapped off that? CT just snapped. Can you believe it? God damn you, Fluke. Anyway, we'll see if it still works. You go to clamp 0 and 0 it out. Seen some action, this says. And then if I clamp that on there without fucking falling to bits, now it's broken. Hopefully, it should read. I might have to grab it with my fingers and make sure it's stuck. Because that has literally just broken my hand. Squeeze that together and look. It's reading 16.61, 16.5, 16.5. So now I'm reading the current without any connection required. So yeah, good bit of kit. I've just took the spring out of there because I think the spring's just been keeping under pressure for about 1,000. I think, basically, I don't use it that often, but when I do, it's really, really good. I think the spring, which is a right chunky bastard, look at the size of that. That could do with a couple of rungs chopping off it. I think that's been putting so much pressure on it for such a long time. It's basically cracked the hinge there, look. And you can see the other one's fatiguing. And I bet you have to buy the entire assembly off Fluke for about 200 quid. But anyway, I can literally clamp it round, look, and I can hold it with my fingers, which is probably what I'm going to do from now on. And it's reading right. Without any touch of circuit, I'll just take it back off. So yeah, good bit of kit. Spring's too big if you ask me. I'll be putting those in a little bag, saving them, but I'll just use that how it is for now. I might have a look how much one of these cost. But yeah, that is my selection of milliamp and voltage reading equipment that I keep in my workshop. I'm back. I know someone will ask. I fixed it, look, Jamie Blayton style. I put the spring back in and I put a couple of tie-ups around it so it can't come apart again, and it works perfectly. It's going to stop like that, although now I can't fit it back in its holder, but it always ends up coming out of its holder anyway, so I'm just going to leave it in the bag. It doesn't come out very often, although you can use it as a multimeter and all that, and you've got these lovely leads with it. It is now destined to live like this for the rest of its career with me. FYI, these are about 1,600 quid. The clamp on its own is 400 when I found a replacement online. I think they're about 1,500 quid as well. So it's not a cheap game to be in process. But with these two bad boys, with these two, for maintenance and stuff, you're pretty much covered. If you want to calibrate, you're going to need the Chevron one I showed earlier. These are for your maintenance and your fucking fault find and whatnot. Calibration's a totally different game. That is your 420 amp side of things. I'll get this figured out. Hopefully that has explained to you the ranges, the types, and how it all works. And now we're going to move on to actually making that instrument work and do something. And we're going to measure it on here. Get this powered up, connect to it, do all the Vega shit, and then we're going to use the Vega instrument and we're going to calibrate it with the Chevron Analouge and get it all working to measure a distance between here. But that might be next time in Instagram world, but it'll be next on YouTube world. So yeah. Hopefully that's helped, although I am slightly confused. But like I said, I got all the gear here, I got everything I needed. I haven't read no instructions because I'm just going to do it, because then it comes off like I genuinely don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to work it out, which is what I'm doing, rather than me coming on and going, hey, I know fucking everything, which I don't. See you later.